Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the WE Knives Dressytak, and it is largely very similar to like the ProTech Malibu in size, and even the lines and the functionality. It's just got some more premium features, and honestly, it's a really good knife. I mean, we did a good job with this, and the price, in my opinion, is not outrageous. I'm going to tell you guys what I like, what I think they could maybe do better in the future. But at the end of this, it really is a pretty recommendable knife. I'm going to link it down in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to WE for sending it in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. The reason I say this at the beginning is because if you've been watching my content for a while, then you'll know that here lately I haven't been so nice to WE, and it's because their prices just seem almost completely arbitrary. We're north of 300 on so many things just because reasons, or because they can, right? And that's annoying. So having one that's not only not over 300, but actually closer to 200 feels so much better and so much more reasonable. So anyways, I think I said make sure your notifications are turned on. Let's go ahead and measure this guy. The overall length here is coming in at about 7.75 inches. Blade length is 3.5, so really nice ratios there. Cutting edge is just shy of 3.25. Let's do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and others, up against my own full-size Excalibur and my compact Excalibur. This guy is just a little bit longer than compact Excalibur. Let's put it up against the Spyderco P. Is that just, is that MIA today? No, there it is. Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3, closer maybe to the size of the Para. It's kind of in between. It's just got a slimmer profile. And then finally, we'll put it up against the Benchmade Grouptillion, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue. And where is it? The Hogue Deca's right here. There we go. Very similar in overall size, and the slimmer profile. I mean, it's probably closest to something like the Bug Out or the Deca. How is the action? Well, WE, Civivi, and Sencut, in my opinion, probably make the best button locks on the market. I don't think that a plunge lock, when I say button lock, I'm referring very specifically to a plunge lock. I am not referring to all locks that are operated with a button. But as far as plunge locks go, WE, Civivi, and Sencut, they probably make the best, and they probably make the most reliable. I have shown tests between these three companies and their plunge locks so many times, including this one when I unboxed it. And they all survived it. They all stood up to it. I don't really do a crazy hardcore spine tap test, but it all survived it. Where some brands don't. Some locking systems that should be stronger don't. So not only do they make a good, reliable button lock, they also, considering it has to be the detent, it's also a pretty darn good detent, and the pivot action is really nice as well. I think WE does a great job with this. I just wish that they would kind of, catch up with everybody else in terms of the preferable locking systems. They don't have to eliminate button locks from their lineup, but it seems like their lineup is primarily frame lock, liner lock, plunge lock, and occasionally a crossbar lock. This is about 3 to 4 years back. I mean, like some of those were a lot more popular, but we don't have to eliminate this stuff. But I don't know, maybe try a compression lock or a button-operated liner lock / frame lock, or try a top liner lock. Try something like that. Try some new ambidextrous spine-operated locking system. I mean, there are so many other companies out there that are innovating and trying things. Unless WE Knives is just so comically successful with everything that they're releasing that they just absolutely don't have to try with different locking systems, I think it would be really interesting, to just try something new, and then, maybe even implement that on past models. That would be really cool. That's something that we see other companies do. Haven't really seen WE do it. It would be nice. Knives like this, I think would be really interesting if it had some different locking system, but caught my finger right there. But it's fine the way that it is. Just wanted to toss that in there. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. So it's pretty similar, honestly. It's about the same. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. This is where this knife shines. It is beautifully compact. For being full titanium, it's a really compact, lightweight knife that does not take up much room in your pocket. Let's go ahead and weigh it, which will require the scale. There it is. So this is titanium. And then the blade steel, I believe sometimes they go back and forth with 20 CV and M390. Not that it makes any difference there. This is M390. The only difference is I think this is silicon content, but 20 CV and M390 are essentially the same thing. And of course, WE is sticking to their mediocre 59 to 61 HRC range, which in my opinion should be improved to 60 to 62. I know Taylor has done some tests and it seems like WE is more on the top end of that, which is good. It means that probably the majority of their blades that are not coated are hitting that 60 plus mark, but not perfectly consistently if I have read Taylor's data correctly. And he's going to have more and more and more data as time goes on, which will paint a better picture. But if you want to check out his website, it's at the very bottom of my description. You can check out his data. So titanium and M390, and then we have titanium for the backspacer and titanium for the pocket clip. And yes, we are going to talk about that pocket clip. Here we go. And the weight, oh, and is there milling for weight reduction? There is actually a little bit on both sides. So your weight here is coming in at 3.1 ounces, which is awesome considering the blade length. Honestly, the ratios, the blade to weight ratio is really good. The balance is all right. It's a little ways back of the pivot. I'm not going to complain too much here considering we have 3.5 inches of blade for nearly what I consider to be ultra lightweight on this channel, 3.1 ounces. I mean, at that weight, I really don't care too much about the balance. It's really only on much heavier knives that starts to make a bigger difference in hand. So pretty good. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness. Yeah, we'll do that. I grabbed the hardware checking stuff first, but we'll go ahead. I grabbed this and I said hardware check. The blade stock thickness, I think probably 120. Yeah, 124 thousandths or so. So a little bit on the thinner side. And let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on the channel. This is neat. So we have a T8 here, and we have one T8 body screw, which is also the pocket clip screw. So this one screw goes all the way through, threads through everything. I'm sorry, goes all the way through and threads into the pocket clip and holds that into a nested spot, which it's probably like cut and lipped. But the rest of this up here is probably floating. There's probably like a floating peg or something like that, holding it in place. One screw. You want to get in there. The only thing you really have to worry about is probably the spring underneath the button lock. Just make sure you don't lose it. But man, talk about minimal hardware there. That is awesome. And it keeps the show side so clean. It looks really good, and it's amazing to me that we don't see more companies do that. I think WE does that really, really well. All right, meat and potatoes time. This really makes me think of the Malibu. I mean, it's not the same thing. Obviously, we have a different blade shape. I actually really like that little notch in there. The blade shape itself is actually really cool. I really wish that we would venture beyond black wash, hand rubbed satin, and stone wash. I mean, like that, you know, those were the primary finishes that were available from, like, you know, the dawn of time up until here, just like the last few years. DLC has become super prominent, and varying, you know, finishes applied to DLC, and also varying polishes applied to an uncoated blade. So many companies are capable of doing a high polished tumbled finish, or, you know, a high polished DLC, or a satin DLC, or even a mirror polished DLC. We have all of these companies doing these amazing things, and just like with their locking systems, WE Knives is like, nah, we'll just do the same thing again. Mix it up, guys. Like, do some crazier finishes and stuff. You guys do an okay machine satin finish, but man, I just feel like you've got so many really cool, you clearly have the capabilities to execute like really, really well. Your precision's really, really good. You know, some of the nicest Chinese production knives on the market, it's just they're lacking some of those 2026 finishes and polishes and locking systems, which could probably help justify some of those higher price tags that you throw out every now and then, right? This doesn't really, I mean, like, you add a lot of that stuff to something like this, then of course the price goes up, but I'm using this as an opportunity to talk about it. It's okay to still have stuff like this in your line, but it's like everything is the same thing. So, you know, especially with those knives that are going to be north of $300, some of that stuff, like the different locking systems and the different finishes, or the more exotic looking finishes, like that's going to help people, you know, justify some of those higher dollar amounts. But anyways, It's just a plain satin finish. I wish it was something else, but it's fine. I really like the texturing on the titanium. It's nice. It's typical diagonal micro milling. We have a nice bevel around the outside. The titanium looks good. Fit and finish looks good. I like the backspacer. It's a simple gear pattern, but it's big and kind of chunky. Looks cool. Pocket clip is very thin and kind of weird looking. I kind of feel it in this grip, and it's just, I think it's just weird because it's so thin. But honestly, functionally, you know, I thought I was going to have a problem with it in and out of the pocket. Not really. It might fight you a little tiny bit on thicker pants, but it functions just fine. It's just kind of odd. I think I'd prefer something a little bit wider. I think it would have looked better with the knife too, but I think, you know, a lot of what I'm saying is very subjective. We have a little fuller here, and yes, you absolutely can access that and reverse flick it if you want to. I have just been using the flipper tab. I found that that's the easiest way to do it, but it's entirely up to you. I'll give you guys a look at that plunge grind. Honestly, it does get fairly thin down here, and I had a good experience cutting very generic things and using this knife very casually. Has a nice pokey, pointy tip, right? Fuller looks good, and there's a little bit of extra detail, not too much. They still keep it on the simpler side, but just add a little bit of fancy detail, which I appreciate. No lanyard hole, who cares? Why they didn't make a filler tab over here? I mean, you just seriously just match. It would have been so easy. Just match the machining and have that one screw, hold that filler tab in, nest it, right? And then you can pop this off and flip it over. I mean, why? Why are we, I mean, it just feels like it's on purpose. Why exclude lefties? It's so weird, right? The right-handed people, you're gaining nothing here, you know, versus, it's not even the whole eyesore argument, because if you do the filler tab with the same surrounding texture, you don't even really see it. We've seen so many companies do that. It's just weird, right? So left-handed people, you'll have to carry this like a right-handed. You'll have to carry, I mean, unless you want to flip it over and carry it awkwardly in your pocket like this, which is not a good idea. Tip up with a flipper tab facing, you know, your goods. Not a good idea. So I would have thought that it would be more beneficial to have a pocket clip mounting position for lefties. But flipper tab has a little bit of detail on it. There's a little bit of, you know, milling on that, just like a little pocket there. It's nice. We have a stop pin that's located in its traditional position, and there is a little bit of shouldering. Also, I believe, yeah, it's actually the it is actually the bar that's attached to the button that's the closed position stop, but it's actually behind the flipper tab. You can see it right there, get tucked away, and boom. Unless it could also actually just be this surface tapping this bar right here, which would make way more sense, honestly. I think that's more likely what it is. That would be odd for the bar. I mean, like, that's pretty, I don't think that's right. The bar that's attached to the plunge is probably not the stop. It's probably the same open position stop, and it just, because it disappears as this wraps around, it kind of looks like that. But anyways, no blade play up, down, left, or right. Slight stick, but that's typical of button locks. No pivot lash. Very smooth and consistent in here. They always do a good job with that. Take a look at this plunge detent. Really nice, honestly, just really nice. Perfect centering, and even though it's a plunge lock, no detent lash. $229. Not the most incredible dollar for dollar premium Chinese pocket knife, but pretty competitive. Pretty competitive. It's hard to get anything from WE nowadays for under $250. So yeah, you can get Kaisers and Artisan cutleries for $180 to $200 in their S90V in titanium, but honestly, the WE knife looks and feels better. You know, maybe the heat treatment is not perfect, but it's up there. $229, I'm not mad at that at all. This is good. It's another version of the ProTech Malibu, but it's still good, right? I don't need this to be, I don't need knives like this to go away. I just want to see more variation. But as far as this knife goes, yeah, it's pretty good. I'm going to say generally recommendable. I'm going to put it in my recommended knives playlist. Pretty cool. This will be given away on a future live stream. I usually do my live streams Friday evenings during the summer at 8:30 p.m. CDT, and in the more towards the winter, it's CST. So, but anyways, please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex. I'll go right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.